Hey, what's up guys? My name is Terminus and today we're gonna watch the second episode of Jujutsu Kaisen. I have my tea. I have something to eat. A little bit of pudding with vanilla and some other stuff. A little bit banana. Eat your fruits. Get your vitamins in. Get your water in. Hydrate, very important. Anyway, let's get started. Last time we met Yuji and Fushiguro, and apparently also Sukuna, who is a crazy bastard, and we need to contain him somehow. But yeah, we met a lot of interesting characters. We had a lot of confrontations, but also a lot of setup, right? We got to know our main character. We got to know how he operates, who he is as a person, right? What relations he has, and that gave us a lot of interesting insights into where this series might be going. We also know that Gojo, who is currently holding him captive or having him restrained, is supposedly wanting to execute him. And this is where we kind of, no, we didn't quite leave off there. We still don't know that little time frame how we exactly got there from Fushiguro actually saying, hey, I'm gonna exercise you as a curse when he after Yuji swallowed the finger. But yeah, this is where we left off, and I think we should just get right into it and not talk too long about it. Yeah, really cool stuff so far, guys. If you do enjoy my content, before we get into that, there's two versions of this reaction. First, you have the edited version over here. Probably not going to be timer. It's going to be the edited version for now. And you have the picture-in-picture in the description down below. So go there if you want to see it here. But please come back to YouTube afterwards, so you can hear my discussions and whatnot. Yeah, check that out. And afterwards, we're just going to discuss and all of that. I do have a Discord, if you want to join and just talk about anime, talk about Jujutsu Kaisen, Made in Abyss, Frieren, or other things. You're more than welcome there. General Discord rules, of course, but other than that, just join, relax. You can lurk too. It's fine. Give me a like if you do like this video, if you do enjoy my content in general, and subscribe if you don't want to miss any more videos. And I do have a Patreon as well, so if that might be something for you, go check it out. But without further ado, we're gonna get into Jujutsu Kaisen episodes 2. Right, we're gonna start this episode in a 3, a 2, a 1, a bam! Itadori Yuji. We see the patterns going away. Alright, he's circling with that. Oh, he's that type of person, okay. He's like, are you shitting me? I leave you alone for one night. Oh, alright. You just went in there. Ooh, he wants to test. The strongest of what? You're gonna be fun. Oh, alright, he's flexing. He's flexing. Alright, here we go. Of course you are. And we already see that, right? Jujutsu sorcerers, okay, okay. So he knows them. Well, the kind of people they are. The school they follow. Hmm? Yeah, something special about him, right? Is he gonna pass? Yeah, I thought so. He's gonna pass out. A vessel, huh? Alright. So he told you the whole thing. 20, wow. Oh, you want him to get them all? Alright. Alright, so back in the day they were stronger? Or maybe it was just a different kind of art back in the day. Alright, so you want him to hold it. And once he revives... Easy choice, right? Or is it? Alright, intro time. Really cool how the characters form and how they go away. Wonder what this underground passage means. She's more like in an environment that's kind of free. Right? Open sky and all that. The panda being caged in. Also be a meaning. And he's high atop a tower, right? Kind of reminds me of the Death Note intro. Who's the woman with the smile? And who is that? Another person we haven't met. And Skuna actually sitting on a throne, more or less. Very, very cool. And we're in the hospital again? Alright, with his classmates. Okay. So they do play a role. I mean, I didn't think they'd disappear immediately. Yeah, she's blaming herself, of course. Oh, and they don't know that he was there. Oh, and he's just sharing that. Okay. And he blames himself, of course. Makes sense. Right. I guess just getting closure, making amends here. Wonder what she thinks about that. And run a funeral home, probably. And that kind of connects to his motivation, right? Helping people, maybe. I think that's not what matters that much to him. Matters to him is if it's worth it, right? If there's something worthwhile in doing here. And he's thinking about his grandpa, of course. Interesting, I've never seen that. Can you actually pick the bones and put them in there as well? If something's left over. Yeah, you get it in the spur of a moment. And he swallows it whole again, dude. I don't want to imagine what that fingernail feels like. But I do assume Skuna probably gonna get stronger and stronger as he gets more pieces.
確定だね。少な相手に難なく自我を保てる。覚悟はできたってことでいいのかな？なんで俺が死刑なんだって思ってるよ。でも呪いはほっとけね。
Alright.
少なは全部食ってある。あとは知らん。てめえの死に様はもう決まってんだわ。いいね。君みたいのは嫌いじゃない。楽しい地獄になりそうだ。どこ行くの？東京。伏黒、元気そうじゃん。俺見てそう思うか。人目少な。
Only 3, alright. Only 3. I mean, we saw a lot more characters in the intro, but, you know, can be other characters around them and maybe senpais. We're saying goodbye. Wow, this is a beautiful scene. The road on one side and... Oh, I double, of course, yeah. A lot of mountains in Japan. Only 2. Alright, so it's headquarters. Imaginary god, okay. The king of curses. A real person that turned into a deity after death. It's almost like a Dracula kind of thing, right? What an image. Discipline. Holy shit. What a way to introduce yourself. Your motivation. Everyone goes through this, right? Your grandpa's dying wish. Not your own. Interesting. He's challenging his convictions. Oh, what is this beat? Don't know if that's the right way to do it, but okay, it's this way. When in Rome. Oh yeah, he's gonna have a hard time, isn't he? Again, so many parallels to Chainsaw Man. And interrupted his train of thought. Is there a reason beyond what you yourself realize? And it's different now? Right, he cares about people. It's not right. responsibility and not wanting to have regrets here. Okay, enough to pass. Then he may be reacting to it. Yeah, you can be our detector. You'll lure him with that promise. And also they can't lose him, that's also a thing, right? Yeah, they put them together so they learn to work together. Alright, the country bumpkin. Alright, so I assume this is probably our third character. Oh yes, I remember this. Wasn't that... Oh, this is cool. Yeah, this was the ED that everybody was so crazy about a while ago. Like a year or two ago. It was really cool, it's really fluid. But the way they paint the colors just over the lines. Tokyo shopping, alright, alright. Already seeing a little bit something about the new character before we even see her. And of course he's gonna be all smooth and... I wonder if they rotoscoped, like if they did something special with the animation here. To make it so incredibly fluid. Alright, and those seem like people who would probably be within the organization. Alright, cool. And we're gonna see her next. Can't wait, Girl of Steel. Right. See you back on YouTube. Right, we're back everybody, and we are gonna talk about this. Let's get into it. This episode of Jujutsu Kaisen, actually it's been quite a while, I had to cut and do something else because a couple of things, but it's fine, we're gonna get into it, we're gonna talk about it. Right, one of the things I wanted to say, like even going back to episode 1 of JJK, is that Shigoto actually did mention that Yuji or Itadori, I don't know which name we're using, but I say Yuji, he kind of hypothesized if he's like Zenin. So I don't know who this Zenin person is, but we're probably gonna meet them, and they might be some kind of like mentor person or somebody who's just very impressive. I think he likened his athletic ability to that, being like, okay, he can do that with even without curse power. So there's definitely something special about Yuji. Either way, we have our characters, at least so far. We have Shigoto, we have Yuji, Itadori, we have Gojo Sato, I think. And we have our Jujutsu Tech high school now. We have it established, and we have, I think, the third character coming in, the girl being like, she's from the countryside and is coming in, and they're coming to meet her, I think. And we have, of course, Sukuna, who is that big bad villain, king of curses kind of deal. But yeah, we do go in here, and Yuji's like, ah, I'm fine. Look, dude, I'm me, alright? Trust. Source, trust. But yeah, the marks disappear, you can see that. And suddenly, a wild Gojo appears. Bro is chill as fuck. Very casual, very calm. bro be shopping for that drip though. You can see like the bag in his the bag on his arm, and he's just leaning in a very calm pose, and he's got the drip already. I do wonder why he has the blindfold. Can he actually see? Is he blind? Is he just sensing everything around him? Is that kind of like his thing? Be very interesting to know if there's a reason why he has that blindfold, or if it's just a stylistic choice, or if he's just gonna flex, because we see a couple of seconds later that he's very good at flexing. Yeah, he is very much in your face, in my opinion. At least that's how I. He's like, what the fuck? You ate it? But yeah, kinda okay. Let me take a look at that bloke. But he's coming very closely. You do see he's invading the personal space immediately, right? Of course, he's kind of observing and kind of inspecting Yuji here. But I think this is clearly something unusual that you immediately notice about him, that he's invading the personal space of somebody, and he's getting this close. You even see Yuji, who doesn't have a problem with something like that, I would assume, based on his character. Him being like coming all the way in almost for a kiss, right? In that sense, and it's like he's invading that intimate space even, right? We have different spaces around us as people, and obviously people define their personal spaces differently. What we do have a social space, a space in which we mingle with one another and are part of kind of like a group, and we do have that that closer space, that personal space, in which we kind of like the barrier between the social and the personal space is where most of us would hold a conversation in, right? Far enough away from people not to intrude, but close enough for us to interact, to see like the muscles in the face moving, and right, and feel the other person's presence. Although there is cultural differences here. Western civilizations, Western nations seem to have way more of an individual approach. So some of the theories say that the personal space of people in the West is a little bit wider, right? So the distance between people is a little bit further, while people who are born in nations that are more densely populated would be used to more of an invasion of that personal space, or rather not the invasion, but there being less distance between people in general. But this is definitely very, very close. This is intimate space, right? That is something that you let your best friend or your partner move in or intrude into, but nothing that you would intrude into somebody's intimate space the moment you meet them. So I think this is definitely probably Gojo testing these boundaries, right? Looking for reactions, trying to feel the other person out. And he's definitely very, very self-confident. We see that just a couple of seconds later. He's very, he knows what he's capable of. I wouldn't call it arrogance yet, because I don't think, well, everything he did so far and he said was backed up by his abilities. So I do definitely think this is not arrogance or laissez-faire in a way. It's more just being aware of what you're capable of, but at the same time being and staying alert, just testing out the limits, right? This instant familiarity, you kind of also see it with other people. So there's sometimes you associate it with a lack of respect, right? If you get your personal space invaded like this, the other person doesn't respect you. That is one possible reason it can be. The other one is you see it in very eccentric people who are not aware or don't care about the social norms. But you also see it sometimes we know that just based on who we are and based on how we're born, like our genetics and us growing up very, very early on, that definitely defines who we, like what kind of distance we are comfortable with when it comes to personal and intimate space. Yeah, sometimes it's also kind of connected to manipulative behavior, invading personal space, especially if you see male-female interactions or interactions of people where one of the two people might be attracted to the other one or might want something from the other one. You can see that people are invading personal space as a means to become very close very quickly and get reactions out of people. You also see it with people who are narcissistic. Right, because they are, especially if you're very high on trait narcissism, it's like you don't respect the boundaries of other people, right? And the entire perspective and your worldview, everything evolves around you as a person. So that's also a thing that can happen at times. But yeah, it could also be connected to his eyes. I think it could be connected to his eyes, that he might be actually blind, or obviously puts the blindfold on as some kind of training or some weird kind of thing, and he's sensing things, but not obviously, but he might not be seeing things. So this might be the way he approaches people, which is different from how you and me, who are just looking at our normal eyes, having relatively normal vision, would interact with people. But yeah, he's in Yuji's face. Yuji kind of backs off a little bit, but isn't going all the way back, which means to me that he's first just being careful and curious and not more than that. Although, Gojo actually tells him to let the other guy, the Sukuna, take over, which is very interesting. So he's definitely gonna try something out, test it here. And we do, later on, we get told why, who Sukuna is, and that would be very interesting for somebody who is very capable and very confident in their own abilities, that they would maybe be very curious about how strong this person is, and at the same time he can test Yuji if he's actually being truthful about being able to just take over again whenever he feels like it, or he can do it. Yeah, again, not arrogance, but knowledge in one's abilities. He is very fluid, he's very calm, but at the same time I feel like he has his focus always on his enemy, which we do see in this little sequence where I'm like, right, you see Sukuna's trying to attack him here, and he just redirects the entire movement energy of his opponent away and towards the opponent, back towards the opponent, throws it back to him. And we do have this beautiful animation with the impact shots. What I found most impressive was the go-around, and we're gonna look at that later with, I've actually looked it up in Sakugaboro. I'm very careful, don't worry, I'm not gonna spoil myself, but yeah, he pays attention to his enemy. He even counted the seconds to really see if Yuji was being true to his word. And what I also noticed is, and that speaks kind of against him being somewhat of a narcissist, although obviously all of us can have narcissistic traits. It doesn't need to be unhealthy. In that case, we're not narcissists, we're just, right? We're just on a certain point in the spectrum of narcissism, which can be measured as a personality trait within the normal range of the average human being, right? And then it's not a diagnosis, it's not a disorder, because it doesn't cause problems in our everyday life. But yeah, he's very logical. He isn't acting on emotions. From what we see, he's very calm, which I definitely like. And he also takes his disciples very seriously, in my opinion, because he asks him here, you know, this is the regulations, what do you think? And Fushiguro says he would rather avoid him being executed because of his experience in episode 1, where he kind of helped him out, and he sees that he's actually a good guy, right? And now we do have that confrontation about Gojo testing. If when he woke up again he would be Sukuna, then it would be a problem. But now he realized it actually works, right? Yuji's consciousness, for one reason or another, is able to take hold here and keep keep the bad the bad curse demon person out. And then he explains the whole thing to him. He's like, you know, the elders, they're kind of a little bit cowardly. They just want me to kill you so the finger gets destroyed. But what if we fed you all the parts of his body? And once that is all done, once it becomes too dangerous, I think that's the thing he's kind of not saying, but he's thinking on the inside. Might be possible that something unforeseen happens and then it becomes too dangerous and they have to kill him anyway. But once all of the parts are combined within his body, then he can get killed. So this is a long-term journey that gives him a stay of execution, but also gives him a reason to live. And they can use that time in which they have to search for the parts and they have to find them to teach him all there is to know about their own techniques, about their own shit. And maybe down the line, I guess, this might be the hope, even if it's like a faint kind of hope where they're like, it's probably not gonna happen, but the hope might be that he can help, not only help a lot of people, that's the motivation that is very important for Yuji, that as we see later on, but that he can maybe master this whole thing. And there's a way, an alternate way, right? There's always a way, right? Even if they're like, okay, there's probably no way, but might as well keep an eye on him as long as that, and just make the offer to him. And that's what we do. And from the intro, we do jump back into that. Very interesting, again, the plant sprouting from the finger, right? A new seed growing out of something actually dead and decrepit. Alright, so Yuji actually makes amends. He's kind of just trying to get closure, I think, on this whole situation. Kind of also apologize because he personally feels responsible about this whole thing happening. And I do think his friend here, I don't remember the name. I haven't seen it anywhere in the subtitles. I might have missed it. You're always missing stuff, but she is kind of also feeling responsible. So there is definitely a connection between them on that regard, that they both think, if I hadn't, right, done the things I've done, maybe this whole shit wouldn't have happened and our friend wouldn't have landed in the hospital here. And there's also always this kind of this aspect about nobody will believe me, right? Now obviously this is more applicable to fictional stories and shows because we do have supernatural elements here, but I think even in everyday life and in things that happen to us on a daily basis, or even just things that happen in our lives, in the process of our lives, there are moments that seem maybe surreal, or fears that we have and concerns that we have, that if we think about them, we might think that telling others about these things might not necessarily be met with understanding, that these people will be like, well, that's easy, right? Everybody has to deal with that. Or that they brush away what you have, what concerns you have, and what fears you have, what keeps you awake at night. And I think this is a very relatable thought in this case, even if we go away from the supernatural element and put it onto our everyday lives. But yeah, we move on after that. Yuji kind of made his peace with that. He's glad that his friend is alive and somewhat well, even though he hasn't woken up yet. And he actually knows that there's people who can help him. And so he goes to the funeral home to get his grandfather's ashes, which is very common in Japan, that you burn your dead relatives. And Gojo here shows actually a lot of empathy with Yuji, and in my opinion that is already telling us something about his character, that even though he can be cocky and confident and just very, right, very how do you say that, very not serious, there's a lot going on inside of him, and he understands well that right, the pain and the loss of people, the concerns of people, and he's making sure that this person that he engages with, that he made that offer, that this is not just a tool for him, but rather that he's trying to build rapport, that he's trying to build a good relationship with that person, which is very important, because in a moment where Yuji might lose himself for some reason or another, it is very important that he has people that he trusts, that he has a good relationship with, that kind of get him back, right? And again, we can apply that to everyday life. Drug addiction, mental disorders, depression, whatever. A lot of things that are very serious situations in our lives, and if you have people close by that are kind of keeping watch a little bit and taking care of you, and that you have a lot of warm feelings for, a lot of connection with, that you trust, then maybe they can pull you out of that in your darkest times, and you can do the same for them, right? What I was thinking when we were doing all of this shit, watching all of that stuff, is just well, first of all, Yuji doesn't care about seeing all these gross sights. What he cares about is, if I continue doing this, if I agree to do this with you, can I actually maybe save some people? And that is the motivation, kind of the main motivation that's following him, not just because of what his grandpa says, as we see later, but also because of the kind of person he is, right? He cares about people. We see that in the first episode already. But what I was thinking about is, as we go on and we collect more parts of the thing, right, will it get harder for him to control? Because we already have these moments. We have these moments when we move on to Tokyo and to the headquarters and whatever. We have these moments where the guy actually pops out. He can right, morph parts of his body and just start talking and shit and express himself. That is some form of control over a body, which right, Gojo explains it. This is a very powerful entity, right? Somebody who even back in the day they were only able to seal away, I guess kill and then seal away. They couldn't just, right? He lived on as a legend, as kind of like a semi-pseudo deity, and they couldn't keep that from happening. So I do wonder, the more we collect, the more stuff happens, the more he might have issues with all of that. And the environments are, by the way, the environments are super gorgeous. It's amazing. I love especially shots like these. They're very, very great to me. I don't know if it is because I'm used to, like, somebody in my family is doing a lot of, or was doing a lot of nature drawings and whatnot. So if that's kind of like my affinity for it or whatever, but I do love this structure of, like, having something human-made, something engineered in a way, the concrete and whatnot, making its way through a very lush and green scenery, which is absolutely beautiful, and one of the things that I really would love to see one day in Japan, because, yeah, I mean, it's just a beautiful country, just based on stuff like that. But yeah, an interesting angle too that we shot here, where the road is coming in and we are actually standing kind of on the road and looking down at Gojo and Yuji coming up, and we see the road going on, right, on the left side, slowly making up the slope of the mountain, probably going in kind of like a snakish pattern upwards. But yeah, we have the king of curses, like we have the ultimate thing that we're kind of dealing with here. And Gojo explains it. He's like, this is one of the two kind of headquarters of these people of the Jujutsu tech. That's where they kind of come home and get their missions and then recuperate and meditate and whatnot. And it's connected to a temple, which is officially kind of religious high school. And there's only two in all of Japan. So yeah, really, really cool. What awaits us here is our president, who is kind of a really bulky, cool-looking guy, sunglasses and whatnot, but there's this contrast, right, of like dude who knows how to brawl, but at the same time he's just stitching at dolls and whatnot. It's a very funny contrast. But we do see that there's more to this person than meets the eye. The dolls are actually curses that he can control, and he asks Yuji a question: why are you here? What do you want to do? And Yuji gives the wrong answer, right? He says, all right, because somebody else's wish, which is his grandpa, and I do wonder why the president knows it's his grandpa. I mean, obviously he might have done his research, or there might be some other reason why he just knows. But yeah, we do have that confrontation where he's throwing things at Yuji to keep him under pressure, right? Put him under pressure of, right, kind of speeding up the process that might have naturally happened within Yuji, of pressuring him to actually think about these things and contemplate on them and process them and realize maybe there's more to it than just what my grandpa said. Maybe there's a reason why what my grandpa said to me, beyond my emotional connection to him, is actually so important to me, and why I do consider that to be one of my main reasons. And yeah, we do come to the conclusion that I'm gonna see that because I don't want to do it I want to misquote it or anything. So he steals his resolve, and he realizes that he has his answer now. And he's like, okay, this is something only I can do. I never felt like there was anything right in the world that only I could do. Right? Other people could take that role. And he's like, okay, if I'm given the second chance, and then just went off, right? Every time I'm engaging in my everyday life, I think, well, if I had actually agreed to it, then maybe person X or person Y wouldn't be dying right now, right? Somebody is dying because I didn't do this. He has that sense of responsibility, right? That sense of duty that's within him, that maybe the president was looking for in the first place. And also obviously to care for others. He cares if other people, no matter if he knows them or not, are actually in danger and dying. And this is what he can do. He can actually prevent this from happening. And yeah, we immediately puts up the poster. Nice, do it. But yeah, we settle into our dorm, and we do have again this invasion of personal space a little bit. We explained that he is actually the GPS locator, basically, to see if and in which capacity the pieces exist, which kind of, again, it reminds me a lot of Chainsaw Man with the gun devil, if you've seen it. I'm not gonna go into more detail than that. But yeah, we have some involuntary neighbor situation, which Yuji doesn't mind, but Shigoro probably does. But yeah, obviously, as the straight arrow character, he's kind of like a little bit peeved that he's next to the loud and chaotic person who might interrupt his daily life or meditation or whatever. So that makes perfect sense to me. And with that, we kind of more or less end the whole thing. We're going on a mission to get somebody new, which is this girl in this case. And she seems to be joining the crew. We had a cool intro, like a very, very, very cool intro in terms of like from an animation standpoint. Really, I remember when people were really crazy about this. Now I know why. It's really fluid, right? It's a bop, right? But yeah. The only thing that's left is Sakugaboro. I wanted to look at the voice actors and the staff, but I'm gonna actually wait till episode 3 or 4 to actually do that, because I think we still have some important characters to meet that I don't want to spoil myself on. I mean, we already saw them, but I don't want to accidentally get any spoilers on that before we actually meet them and get our impression on them. There can be a lot of like, when I know what voice actor is voicing a certain character, I might have certain assumptions about them, so I don't want to have that. And yeah, then we're gonna just put it off until a later episode, but we're gonna do it at some point. Alright, Sakugaboro. This is the first one. Very interesting clip by 𝐏𝐢𝐏 Yamakado and Yongsheng Shi and Satoshi Kimura. I don't know. I've looked into some of them in terms of like their animation history, but I haven't seen anything that I immediately recognize. I mean, I recognize Persona 4, of course, but I haven't seen the animation. I've played the game. That's all that is to it. And I haven't. There's some stuff here, but nothing pops out to me where I'm like, oh yes, I've seen this. So, but we're still gonna look at them. We have Yonshinji did and then we have some Hiramatsu who did correct the close-ups. Yeah, Yamakado did almost everything in between this thing, the cuts, and yeah, and then the end we have Kimura. Let's see, like this fluid animation. Look at that, it's amazing. If you might give me, nope, that's the wrong one. Yeah, here. Sorry, not too often at Sakuga. So, yeah, let's look at this frame by frame, right? We're going in, we're wrestling with the arm, kind of making our way, swinging our way around with the momentum, getting pulled out. Right? I love this fluid animation. Every... wait, let me see. This is very interesting. I don't know how we started, so maybe I can start again. Obviously, there's probably a changing... a shift of like frames, but maybe we can analyze something about this. We do have no movement of him, movement on the second frame, no movement, no movement, movement on the third frame, no movement, no movement, movement on the third frame, no movement, no movement, movement on the third frame, right? No, no, yeah, now we get on the second frame again, which is the momentum, right? You have the third frame first because it's a little bit slower, and then we have the second because the arm is actually, right, pushing him away, and he's closer to the camera, obviously, which needs to make the movement faster, even if you're going at the same speed. We have these very extreme turns, right, that interestingly enough our brain, our eyes can still connect to a certain degree of movement. Obviously, often enough in such action sequences we do not perceive everything that's happening, but we still see it as one cohesive picture, and that is really one of the most amazing things about the human brain, the way we can complete incomplete things. I mean, that's the only reason we can watch things that are animated, even if there is a decent amount of still frames in those, because we will still see and feel the movement even though they're animated. And yeah, very, very cool. We go on a little bit. He gets thrown out here. A quick turn, very well. It kind of displays how well he can control his body. And here we go on for a punch, but he is using his... kind of using his feet, right? No, or is he just... This is an interesting one, right? We go from over the top, right, upside down, and making our way over here, clinging to the arm. That wasn't as smooth for me looking at it frame by frame, but maybe it looks better on the total. We do have the hair pull, right, and the momentum shift here. He's going in, right? He's still flying in this direction, and his feet are being pulled over. But here he's standing mostly still because the momentum gets pulled and the background is going in that direction. And then we have the somewhat of an impact into the eye, which is really, really cool. And obviously the monster roars and screams. And yes, this is actually, it's kanji. I don't know what, tell me what kanji those are. Tell me what they are. I can read somewhat hiragana, but I can't read kanji, I'm sorry. And I'm sure it means something like curse or whatever. Yeah, and we have our discussion in the middle, right? A little bit more of like more still frames for that, and we do toss the finger here, right? It flips out of our hand, and it goes up, and gravity does its job, but he gets it. No, he doesn't get it. He gets it now. I really like that one. I like that one. Yeah, look at that. He's being pulled down, and then we do have the impact on the flesh, and he's... Right, you even see the calves getting a little bit bigger, and then he jumps up. It's really cool attention to detail here. Yeah. I don't like that one, right, where he has it weirdly in his mouth. It feels weird, but either way. And we have the black cuts where only the object is flying. We only focus on the object, everything else disappears. And then very weird, big tongue, and just insanely big frame, right? Like here, tongue twirls, mouth wide open, and one frame, and the second, and the third, 4, 5, 6. But frame 6, right? We do have that slow approach here, which is like a moment we focus on that literal moment where the finger meets the tongue, and then it's like, and immediate momentum shift from a very, very wide open mouth to boom. But we still see it as one motion, as one action. It's just very quick for us, right? In comparison to everything else. But really, really well animated in my opinion for the most part. Really cool. Just to look at this, it's just a very short sequence, but it is the thing with Gojo and Sukuna where they fight and he's just leaning back on his back. This is concept art, right? We do have, boom, the shoulder moving, right? And putting him off, and he's trying to get the fist in or get some kind of handle on him. And he's just using that momentum and is ducking away from it, and suddenly he's gone, right? And boom, he appears underneath. I wonder if this is actually him just being super, super fast because of some curse or some shit, or if it's supposed to be the representation of your perception, right? For Sukuna, he perceives him when he's leaning on his back. But as soon as he makes that movement, suddenly he's gone, and he doesn't perceive him anywhere in his field of view or from his sense of touch. So suddenly he's gone, and suddenly he appears underneath him when he sees the movement coming in. But he already got behind him again, right? And goes further on, takes the arm, right? And redirects him forward, right? A spinning circle movement and a hit. I didn't even see that hit. That's amazing. And a hit. Very, very cool. Really cool. And it got sexy. Yeah, indeed. That is a really fucking amazing animation sequence. Is this even key animations fully in between? Does he do it himself? Genga. I don't know enough about it to kind of comment on that. If you want to tell me more about how this actually works, I'd really love to. Or maybe you have some interesting video sources that explain stuff like this. It's really cool. I do love to watch videos on just knowledge when it comes to direction, film making, animation and stuff like that. It's really cool to see how this stuff is created and how it plays with our mind and our eyes and our perception to make it into a very enjoyable and fluid experience. That is very important, of course, for everything we do in general. But yeah, that's about it for Jujutsu Kaisen episode 2. I'm really excited. It's a cool series so far, and I really hope I get to record a little bit something about it down the line. I'm really having fun with it so far, so that's a cool thing as well. And I do hope I can get it edited at some point in time soon and premiered on YouTube. Episode 1's probably going to be on YouTube immediately, and then there's episode 1 and 2, which is probably going to make it to Patreon. Either we're going to do it, well, not on Patreon. One's not going to be on Patreon, of course, but then I think I might release episode 2 on Patreon almost at the same time or shortly after I release episode 1, since I do record those in tandem. But yeah, then I don't know how fast I'll get to recording the next piece, but I do hope it's going to be soon because it's very intriguing and it has a lot of cool animation and whatnot. And next episode we can actually look at the voice actors a little bit, directors and whatnot, and just scout out what interesting people we have working on all that. But yeah, until then, I think that's been it for me. Guys, if you did enjoy this video, give me a like. I would really love if you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any more JJK videos or other videos coming up. I do possibly have a movie. I don't know if it's out already or if it's going to be out in a month. We'll see, right? As like a special for the first 100 or 200 subscribers that I get. And we do have Made in Abyss going and 𝐏𝐲𝐏. I do have a Patreon with early access to those. Like a while ago, I did actually put down 𝐏𝐲𝐏 as a $1 tier even, because I thought this might be a cool thing that I put the timer reaction of 𝐏𝐲𝐏 a couple of days after the new episode is released. I put it on Patreon for all tiers actually, and then a day or two later there's going to be the edited reaction, and then about middle of the week after that it's going to be public. So kind of like having a little bit of a thank you to anybody who generally supports me, and I think might be doing this going forward with the seasonals. But yeah, Made in Abyss is going to be 1 week earlier. As always, if you do like that, check it out. Also check out the Discord, the link is in the description down below. I do always love to have new people come to the Discord. If the link doesn't work, it's probably there's gonna be a link either on my main channel page, right in the About Me section, where there's also the Patreon link, or it's gonna be on my newest video. Those are gonna be the links that probably work the best. Yeah, and I do hope I see you on the next video. Terminus out.